I'm mad. Like, I was hurt, but I didn't realize it because, the adrenaline, but I was mad. I was working like graveyard shift in this factory testing fiber optic cable. So I'd work at night and I had my Ninja, and I'd usually go and try to go for a ride during the day, which kind of works out because the hours are so off that you usually get like clear runs in the mountains if you leave in the morning. I was on my way to work just like every other night, going through Spaghetti Junction to get on 85 North. The bike I had, I always believed in like loud pipes save lives. So I had the loudest little shorty exhaust you could get. Like, nobody liked riding with me or behind me because it was just like that obnoxiously loud. But I'm like, nope, this is good. Like, I'm gonna do this. But yeah, so I've got my little bike and and there was roadworks. And I'm like, okay, well, there's roadworks. And then I see like traffic like dead stopping. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm like, I can either go like right off into the roadworks or like left onto like speeding traffic, because it was just the one lane that was like stopped. I'm like, oh God. So I'm like braking and kind of trying to line myself up so I don't just like go like in the middle of this van in front of me. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, bam, I'm thrown into like this Honda Odyssey in front of me. And it doesn't stop there. This guy keeps going until my bike is wedged and his front wheels are off the ground. And I'm mad. Like, I was hurt, but I didn't realize it because, the adrenaline, but I was mad. And like these people like stopped and whatever. And I'm like losing it, not moving around very well. And the guy's being like real weird. Like, he's not responding to what I'm saying. I'm like, what did you do? And blah, 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 look what you've done. And all this stuff. And like the bike was just stuck under, like you weren't getting the bike out. And then he just would not like respond. And like people were showing up and trying to like calm me down and all this stuff. And turns out he wasn't responding because he's deaf. So of course, the loudest pipes ever, and I get run over by a deaf guy. But it got even worse because the deaf guy turned out to be drunk, uninsured, and out of state. Like, he wasn't even supposed to be driving. And then while I was sitting in the car like waiting for the ambo, like these people stopped and I was sitting in the like SUV thing, and he gets out a 2-ton floor jack from the boot and comes to start to jack up his car to try to get away. So it's a couple of my mates had shown up by that time, like, mate, nope, no, you're not doing this, and had to like hold him for the cops to show up. And of course the cops are like, they come to me later like, oh yeah, he wasn't supposed to be driving, he doesn't have insurance, he's out of state, and yeah, he's legally deaf. And I'm like, what am he ran me over, like my bike is destroyed. I was out for I think like 6 months after that. And so the insurance is like, okay, don't worry, like we'll go after him, all this stuff like that. The insurance is like, well, we tried to go after him, he's got no money, you're gonna just have to pay and pay your deductible, stuff like that. And it just turned into this big thing. And then, yeah, you have to like end up suing your insurance company to cover the medical damages. And that's how I got run over by a deaf guy. And that's also why I like New Zealand, because the insurance thing, you don't have to sue your insurance company to get coverage. When I got run over and I was like waiting and then the ambulance shows up and they're like, no, you need to call your boss and tell him that you're not coming in. I was like, okay, so I'm not coming in tonight. And they're like, no, you're not coming in for a long time. And when they said that, I realized like that job made me so miserable because I was so relieved. I was like, I don't have to go to work for a while. Oh, this is great. Like, I realized like that job in that moment was like just so not where I needed to be in life. And that's when I decided, nope, I'm gonna like, from now on, it's like, we're gonna do things that like gut feeling, go do that, like, things that you're passionate about, things that make you want to like live your life to the fullest and not realize, oh, I just got really badly hurt. I'm so happy because I don't have to go to this horrible place. Like, that was kind of the realization there. And then from there, that's also when I like saw a diver in the aquarium. I decided I was going to do that. And then I did that and became an aquarium diver. This is kind of funny because like I always plan stuff out. And this was like the one time my mates were all like, okay, hey, we're just going to go up to the lodge and, just have some fun, ride around, shoot some guns, do whatever. And I'd never been there, but I was like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. So I'm in the E39, luxury BMW. We start going through the roads, ended up some on dirt roads, and I was doing fine on the dirt roads. And then we park, and there's like a goat track, and I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. They're like, oh, don't worry, you can take the quad bike, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the quad bike. Normally, I have, if I'd known, I've got all the safety gear, like full race leathers and everything. I would have brought that, but I didn't know. But I was like, it'll be fine. It's just this one time. It'll be fine. We start going up, and they got like their four-wheel drive stuff. And I'm on this I think it's a Honda Big Red. So I guess in America they call them like ATVs. New Zealand usually calls them quads. I'm like making it up this goat track, and it's not like stable like a bike or whatever. I'm like, no, this is fine. So I'm just like going all the way up to the top. I'm like, oh, okay, the lodge is on the, it's like, it's right over there. That's the lodge. Perfect. And I kind of casually rode off a cliff because it was a cliff and there was like kind of grass and shrubbery. So it didn't look like it. But I ended up airborne, like pretty fast. Like I wasn't even doing anything dumb. I just, whoop, oh, I'm in the air. I'm going. And as I jump, I almost clear it. My foot gets caught. My leg just snaps the other way. And then the thing tumbled all the way 60 meters down, whatever. So I'm halfway on this cliff. And I'm holding on to the grass to try to not, roll down. My mates, they were all coming up. They didn't know, later on we thought, it's they thought I just went on some random trail or something. So I'm just kind of laying there and my leg, it's like a cartoon. It's facing the wrong way. And I'm like, oh, it's just dislocated. I wasn't really, it's it's just dislocated. I'll try to put it back. So I try to put it back, and then I quickly realized it wasn't just dislocated. So I'm laying there, and I'm just what am I gonna do? And then they kind of started figuring out, it's the guy who owned the place is no, that wasn't a trail. But we were so far up, kind of in the boonies there, that the ambo couldn't make it. So I got a really nice helicopter ride. So I got in the hospital. So this was in December, and there's this Christmas parade where the local car club gets permits to drive their race cars in the Christmas parade. So the Christmas parade was the next day. So I'm in the hospital, be hey, we need to fix this. I gotta go. My car, I have the racing simulator stuff to do, and the Christmas parade to drive my car around. They just kind of wouldn't respond to me, and I'm just what's going on here? And then this big dude and this Italian guy came in, and they're oh, we're just gonna set it. I'm great. It was really bad. I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life. It was the worst pain ever. And so I think, after that, I was great, I can get home now. So they keep me, and they won't tell me. And I just wanted to leave, and they wouldn't let me leave. And then basically, it was a horrific experience, but I woke up and there were metal rods sticking out of my leg. An X-frame, I believe is what they call it. So they actually drilled a hole through my heel, put a rod in there, and then stuck all these other rods and stuff. And then that's there. And I'm just what am I supposed to do with this? So, and they're oh, well, technically we could leave that there and it'll heal like that, which in retrospect is what I should have done. But they were no, we're gonna have it heal faster, so we're gonna do surgery. But to do surgery, we would have to let all the swelling go down, and so it was quite a few days. When they were doing it, they had, I guess, a doctor and several trainees. And they're okay, we're gonna do a nerve block. And I'm okay, sweet. So they get the ultrasound machine, and they're going in there, and you can see the nerve. And this guy is trying to teach these interns or whatever there. So he's sticking this needle in, and you see him, he's oh, no, that wasn't quite it. Go ahead and get, and he did this 3 or 4 times. I'm all right, whatever. And then, he does the nerve block, and then, yeah, okay, fine. Yep, don't feel anything. It's great. It was extremely painful. So the nerve block is supposed to wear off within 24 hours or so. So it had been a few days. I was still in the hospital, and I'm just so when is this going to wear off? And they're what do you mean? I'm when's the nerve block going to wear off? And they're oh, it should have well and truly worn off. I'm well, then what's going on? And then so come to find out, nothing was wrong with the upper part of my leg. It was just the tib, fib, and talus down the lower part of the leg. From the knee down, this crazy weird sensation, and they're just oh, they, and it's in the hospital notes. They suggested that perhaps the nerve had been sheared when they did the nerve block. So I'm are you gonna tell the guy that did this that happened, so that he's training people? It's if someone stabs you in the ankle, constantly cuts your leg open, pours gasoline on it, and lights it on fire, that's what it's all the time. And it was like that for quite a while. And then because of the nerve damage, I had a doctor. I'm go through months of physio, and the physio is like, hey, something's wrong. You're not getting the movement. And you look at the x-rays and it's like, doesn't it look like that screw is going into the other bone? I even had a vet looked at it and she's like, that doesn't seem right. And so we go to like one surgeon, he's like, oh yeah, it's the screw's a little long, but it'll basically self-clear. I'm like, can we just take some stuff out? Like, this isn't working. The physio says it's not working. I cannot. I had no dorsiflexion, so I could not bend it at all, and I could not walk. So he's like, oh no, there's, with the nerve damage, the bone's reabsorbing itself. There's not enough bone to take it out. You probably don't expect to ever get this stuff out. And I'm just like, what am I going to do? Like, I cannot walk. I'm in extreme pain. Like, my whole life's been put on hold. And this went on for like a year. The pain guy's like, well, we need to send you to an ortho just to like see how much weight you can bear, if we can try to do that or what's going on, and make sure there's not like a mechanical reason for this nerve pain. And so we go to him and he looks at it and he's like, immediately, he's like, I'm sorry to be like your third or fourth opinion, but like this needs to be fixed. And I was like, thank you. Yes, it does. I had to go through all this red tape and hoops to get permits because they couldn't see how the surgery to take out the metal and put it back in was related to the original injury. Finally, we got through that. They did the surgery. And so they took out 3 plates, 12 screws, which was all the metal. And then they refreshed the brake and put in like 1 plate and 9 screws. And so now that's where I'm at with that. And I'm trying to get the dorsiflexion back. Yeah, and now they're saying I'll probably have to have that metal out too, but...
Once again, I want to thank Bridgestone for their support of VINwiki this month, for their support of the channel, and all they're going to do with us throughout the year. We're going to test some tires, use some tires, and have them talk about what the tire business is like from their perspective and all the great things that Bridgestone is doing as a brand, including becoming an OEM offering on cars like Porsches, Lamborghinis, and things like that in the past couple of years. And so I know that you're going to love that, but I know that you'll also love their tires. And so whether you go to Tire Rack and order a set of Bridgestones for your car, or also check them out at the link in the description below, check out the Potenza range of tires for road cars, supercars, sports cars, hypercars. They are amazing, and I know they'll treat you well. Have a great day.